Hey VC, this is the most impromptu of impromptu videos I've ever done. I literally just finished watching John's 6-inch penis latest video and I was feeling inspired, and I sort of thought, God, I haven't made a new arrivals sort of video in like 5 months. So off the top of my head, I just went through and I pulled out about 30 of them that I've picked up in, I guess the last 5 months. So I'll just do this and see how long it takes. I'm going to try and keep it quick and fast and not go into too much detail. As you can see, I got some new speakers, which I I sold a whole bunch of records at a record fair, and they paid for themselves really, which was pretty amazing. So there's the Klipsch RP600Ms, and they're amazing. They're really cool. And I'm also trialing, you probably can't see, but just here is a phono stage that was built by the guy that did my tone arm. So I've had a massive increase in the sound, and it's sounding amazing at the moment, but time to slow down. But yeah, we've got I think 31 records in here. That's probably not all of them, but it's the bulk of stuff that I've picked up. I'd also pick up the Daisy Age here, which is an amazing comp, and if you can see behind me, the sunny side up. I am aware that I'm wearing the most ridiculous thing ever, but this thing is like the warmest jumper I have, believe it or not. It's freezing cold winter here, really rainy, grey day, but yeah, here we go. All right, this is going to be the thumbnail for the video. This is one of the reissues on the Souffle Continue label. I ended up ordering about 4 of these from the label during lockdown, and they arrived from the UK after a long wait. This is, Flutes Libres. That's obviously a terrible pronunciation. This is a really nice kind of funky, kind of spiritual jazz record, I guess. The second half gets quite experimental and focuses on textures, gets really dark. And the second half is the reason I can understand why it's on the Nurse with Wound list. That's where it fits. But the opening track is really uplifting and funky. But yeah, this is a really great listen. The guys on this label I think are doing some really nice stuff with their reissues. This is on Crazy Colored vinyl. Anyway, check that out. It's great. This is a classic that I'd been after for years and years and years and years and years, right back to the early days of the VC. But of course, everyone's favorite, Pure Pleasure, have reissued it, so I had to snag that. They've done an amazing job. One-line summary, just an incredible, deep spiritual jazz record. Everyone needs to hear this. Same with this one. Again, I've been wanting for years, but I just have never seen a copy of it. And thankfully, the Tone Poet reissues came out this year, so I had to grab this. Look at this for a nice, thick gatefold. These are amazing. There's a whole. They just announced a whole series of new ones with some Jackie McLean's in there that I'm really excited to get. So yeah, super job. This one almost sits in the same category as this. Another one that I've been after for 10 plus years. I didn't even realize this had been reissued until I saw it in a store. This is the Creative Arts Ensemble One Step Out. This has been done by Outer National Sounds, and they've done it at 2 records at 45 RPM, so it sounds really fantastic. Amazing spiritual jazz. I think this was originally on Nimbus West. There's gospel and choir elements and big band jazz and spiritual fire. It's all in here. That's the Creative Arts Ensemble One Step Out. God, we got a fair chunk of jazz in here, just to give you a warning. But there's some reggae and some hip hop later on. Stanley Cowell Regeneration, again, another one that I've been wanting for a while, and Pure Pleasure put it out. I had to snag it. This is really cool in that it reminds me almost of the Don Cherry Here and Now record, if you know that. It's a really light, uplifting world music record. It's definitely not a jazz records per se. I would say it's definitely a, uplifting world music. Just really positive sounds on here, and kind of funky. Yeah, really cool. It's super unusual, I think, for Strata East for what they were doing. But yeah, it's super wonderful. Stanley Cowell Regeneration. A lovely gatefold. Again, beautiful job by Pure Pleasure. check out the track Traveling Man. It kind of has a funky soul vibe. Reminded me of a little bit of Terry Callier, actually, on that track specifically. Anything off the What Color Is Love album, it's not that far away from it. Another one on the label Souffle Continue. This is Jean-Charles Capon, The Universe in Solitude. This is a very moody, textured piece. It's quite subdued. He plays on the cello throughout most of it. Really lovely stuff. Again, another lovely release on the label. Yeah, there we go. 5 minutes down already. The fun part about this is I've got to put them all away and file them all back. I had a mate over the other day, and I was amazed at how much mess you can make if you don't file after you pull out records. Okay, another one I got, God, all the way back in maybe March. I may have even shown this before. This is the Pharaoh Sanders with Marley Mahood. What was his name? Ghana. Yeah, this is a really, really amazing, deep jazz record. God, I can't remember. I remember reading all about this when it came out. But using traditional rhythms and sounds of an ethnic group of people from Marley, I think. And there's some specific ceremonies, musical ceremonies that they do, and he plays as part of that. And yeah, it's very, very, I hate to say the word tribal, but it's very, yeah, it does feel specific to that type of music, and it feels very grounded and authentic, and you can sense that they're all pushing through a ceremonial. There's definitely a heavier weight, to this and to the music. Yeah, amazing reissue. This was one that I found really weirdly cheap, and in a record store that shouldn't have had this at all. Usually it's full of $1, $2 records, but yeah, I found this, which was super cool. If you know this, it was compiled on, I think it might have been the Spiritual Jazz World one, or one of the Spiritual Jazz comps. What was it? It was comped on one of them. This is Heikki Sarmanto's New Hope Jazz Mass. Now this is, there's some amazing deep stuff on here, and there's some not so great stuff, but it's basically a jazz mass, but they're playing like Coltrane, I guess. So you've got, a big choir behind it, as you can see by the photograph here, all up with people out of Finland. God, I feel so rusty talking about this. I feel like I can't get my words out, or I'm not as eloquent as I used to be. But yeah, this is really, really cool. I'm happy to find it. I've been aware of it for a while. It wasn't on my want list per se, but I couldn't leave it behind. Yeah, it's super interesting stuff. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. I'm not going to not say no to some Finnish jazz in the collection, right? Also, I found this from the same store, which was really cool. This is Lee Morgan's The Cooker. This is a 70s Liberty pressing, which is perfectly fine with me, more than fine. You don't see the blue notes very often here, believe it or not, even though I somehow managed to find a decent chunk of them. This thing is pure fire. If you ask me, the version of A Night in Tunisia on here is maybe some of my most favorite. I'm not going to say it's my favorite version of it, but the playing by Lee Morgan specifically on that is absolutely fire. He just comes out of the gate and absolutely shreds it. It's a really special one. I think this is an amazing record that doesn't get the recognition it deserves. People go for Search for the New Land, but I think this is really up there, and yeah, deserves cred. It has just been reissued by Tone Poet, so no doubt that would sound incredible too. Fred sent me some VCLT about a month and a half ago, and I've pulled out one of them, but I've completely forgotten to pull out the other one. I'll show it in another video, but it was basically Big Yawn No, but I'll talk about it later. But the other part he gave me was this really interesting release. It's a 12-inch with 2 tracks on it, by an artist called Justine. I think she was from Sydney, and this came out in '79. Reissued in 2019 by Left Ear Records. Parts of it sound like Sade, parts of it sound like a jammed out jazz funk thing. Some really interesting vocals. She isn't the most amazing singer in part. I mean, Mama Didn't I Tell You doesn't really do it for me vocally, but musically it goes on this massive trip for 10 minutes and it's super interesting. Where Wordless Songs, I think, has a really nice groove to it and the vocals work really well. I actually really like this, and it's a really interesting piece for my collection that I didn't even know about. Yeah, thank you, Fred. Super great. The Big Yawn is... I'll talk about it in another video. Anyway, 10 minutes in. One that old mate Anthony had shown and played to me many, many years ago. This is The Emerald Forest. I found this at a local store for really cheap. Amazing soundtrack. I've never seen the movie, although lots of people say it's really great. It just sounds like a deep tribal trip into the Amazonian jungle. It's got lots of, I guess, percussive instruments and deep synthesizers and stuff like that. Yeah, I was really happy to find it locally to pick it up. Yeah, it's super, super interesting. I want to say there's an interesting connection here to somebody we know. Oh yeah, João Bosco plays on here, interestingly enough. But yeah, this is really great. Yeah, it just sounds almost like a deep trip into the middle of the Amazonian jungle with synthesizers and percussive instruments. Yeah, it's very moody and very dense, and yeah, really interesting. Moving on to Japan, this is something I should have had years ago because I've heard it plenty of times and I've seen it in stores, especially in Melbourne, plenty of times. I never picked it up. This is Masuhiko Togashi, Spiritual Nature. Absolutely beautiful, really light, uplifting jazz record. It is very spiritual, it is very pleasant. It looks and sounds like the cover. Very minimal, very clean. Yeah, they're playing with space here and texture, and it's really interesting. It's definitely not a heavy record or a free jazz record or anything like that. It's all about expansiveness and openness, and yeah, it just has a really, I guess, fresh sound to me. I really like it. Switching into the opposite direction, this is, believe it or not, the first record I have on Muse. This is Richard Davis. Now this is 2 live pieces, which is Epistrophes, I can never say this, Epistrophe and Now's the Time, and they both take up a side each. I really like what they're doing here. It's really interesting, but I wish the pieces were longer, even though they're 23-minute pieces. And I have a lot of stuff that sounds like this. And I feel like if I'd have discovered this early in my free jazz phase, I would have been absolutely loving it. And I do really appreciate what's going on. And I can tell there's some amazing playing going on. And I know the lineup is absolutely special. Richard Davis, Clifford Jordan, Marvin Peterson, Joe Bonner, Freddie Watts. So yeah, I do think it's a really interesting take on the monk stuff. But at the time, it didn't feel that fresh to me, just because I have a lot of the stuff like that, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That's my take. I mean, of course, that's purely just because I do have a lot of free jazz. And I probably was looking for something a bit different. But there we go. Speaking of something jazzy, but completely different, and it's a really unique sounding thing for me, is this Elysian spring reissue that came out last year. Really lo-fi. It sounded like it was recorded on a cassette that was dumped in some water. Yeah, this is really deep, almost like quite spiritual. It sounds pretty terrible because the masters were done like that. Check out the track Lotus. It's got an amazing bass line. This is very laid back, very relaxed. There's some nice guitar parts on here. The cover looks like a metal album, but I really like this. If you're looking for something a bit different with your jazz, check this out. For some reason, they also printed it much taller than a normal. Like if I hold this up, you'll be able to see here that it's that much taller. I'm not even cheating, you know. So that's it's not massive, but it's a decent amount. Yeah, this came out of Boston, Massachusetts. Sorry, it comes out of Northampton, Massachusetts, home to or close to Record Bug Dave. Yeah, I'm sure he probably has an original of this. But I love this. It's really fantastic. Yeah, definitely cool. God, we're going around the world here. This is going to be quite a long video, guys. This is Georges Reyes and Antonio Zepeda. This is something that reminds me specifically of Alex Motoric 247. I know he probably has an original of this. Absolutely wonderful. ambient experimental Mexican album. Super deep. Part of it does sound a bit 80s, but you know, the first track specifically reminds me of like a new wave track, but then it goes and side 2 into some really nice traditional musics and experimental sounds. Yeah, I've known about this for ages, right? And I had been wanting an original, and I've sort of been wanting to I was going to spend money on it and get an original, and this was part of an order online, and I thought I'd just chuck in the reissue, and it's done now, and I don't feel like I need to get an original. And I'm glad I didn't spend the money, because it probably wouldn't have been in perfect shape, just because the Mexican copies, I assume, are probably not in the greatest condition. But yeah, there we go, George Reissue. Check out this guy. I've been really obsessed with him for the past year or so now. Amazing traditional Mexican stuff mixed with electronics and synthesizers. Yeah, George Reissue. There's a couple of really good ones. El Tuncal springs to mind. It's got like a purple cover. That's really interesting to me. Okay, the record of the year that everyone shows and everyone talks about. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to get this for ages. I remember, it's going to sound like the most hipster comment ever, but I remember when it first came out, and I remember a record store in Sweden that I sometimes buy from was selling the original copy, and I was going to buy it, and then I didn't, and it sold out, and then I saw the whole hype came when Light in the Attic reissued this, and for some reason they decided to rename it with an English title, which is the first thing that puts me off. Why do we have to cater to a non, you know, why call it Eastern Flowers? Why not keep the original title in its form? It just seemed, you know, dumbed down for a wider audience. And the other thing I have with this is, it's like someone in Sweden has discovered Turkish music and sort of stolen the most standard stuff and added a drum breaks to it and drum beats. I mean, the musicianship of the Turkish music isn't even particularly amazing. You know, there's much more interesting stuff on other Turkish releases. It's very pleasant to the ears. It's very slick, but I don't think there's much going on a deeper level to this. Essentially, all the tracks sound the same. It's kind of funky and light, and I guess it's good for background, but I think it's a bit of a one-trick pony, and I don't understand where the hype has come from, really. It's like cookie-cutter Turkish music, and then someone's added some, you know, drum breaks and beats over the top. And then it just seems, and it's not even done by a Turkish person, you know, it's I don't know why it annoys me so much, but it does. And then on top of that, it actually sounds terrible. Obviously, it just sounds flat and uncompressed, and my friend who was over here, who's not really it's not even really an audiophile, was like, man, this sounds not great at all. So it doesn't even sound as good as it could do, which is a shame. It doesn't even sound great. I'd say it's a completely average pressing. Yeah, I don't know, man. What's the hype? Can someone please try and sell it to me again? Because it's just, to me, it's, yeah. Anyway, will I keep it? Probably will keep it. I don't know. Rant over. Paz are back. This is a amazing UK funky fusion record. It's pretty much a hard fusion record, which will put a lot of people off. There's a connection here. Murray McNabb. I want to say it is Murray McNabb, right? I got it wrong. Sorry, I'm having a complete mind blank. Plays on here. It is Murray McNabb, I'm sure of it, from Dr. Tree. Sorry. I'm not going to edit this out because it's meant to be a quick, unplanned video. I meant to say Frank Gibson on the drums, who plays in Dr. Tree and is from New Zealand, is on this album. So, you know, the artwork is killer. I would love to get an original, but this is a reissue. Yeah, it's definitely a fusion record, straight out jazz fusion record. Pretty funky, pretty tight. Yeah, it goes pretty hard, but I think it's definitely worth a listen. I really like this, and I love that typography on the cover here. I think it's super cool. Paz are back. This came out originally a long time ago, and it's been reissued by BBE. I think it was 2017 now. Yeah, 2017. There we go. Another newish, I think this came out last year, 2018, Nuevo Napoli. This is a really amazing, it's basically a band out of Napoli doing new funky jazz. What is it? I don't know. It's I guess funky disco beats. It's really nice, summery, bright, happy music. There's mixtures of Latin bits, jazzy bits, funky bits, disco, especially in here. It's kind of a modern take of that whole Italian disco stuff that was happening around Napoli in the late 70s, early 80s. It's kind of like a new take on that, I guess is the way to put it. But yeah, it's really fantastic, a really fun record. I need more fun records in the collection, so this fills the void. Okay, I'm going to speed it up. Michelle Sadabi in New York. Really cool. There's some really nice moments in here, but for me, it doesn't stand up as much as Gale, which is the other record. But there's a couple of really nice moments and a couple of not so great. The lineup, Richard Davis, Billy Cobham, Ray Barretto, is absolutely intriguing. If you see it, grab it. It's not so cheap anymore. I was really lucky to find a copy for quite a cheap price. There we go. Been on a bit of a Duke Ellington kick. I did pick up these two. This is Far East Suite, which is absolutely fantastic, and Money Jungle. This is the Tone Poet reissue. I knew of this record. I'd known bits of it online through snippets. I knew I wanted it, but when I finally got a copy of it, it absolutely blew my mind, like to the point where I was like, man, I really need to reevaluate Duke Ellington. So I've spent the last month going through and picking out things I like, and I've got about 4 or 5 Duke Ellingtons I want to pick up now. It almost feels like a disgrace that I've got all these jazz records, but I don't, and I haven't delved into Duke Ellington properly. So that's what I'm rectifying. And there's a few around, which is really cool. God, okay. From here, it's hip hop and reggae out. Okay, this is Freddie Gibbs and Madlib Bandana. This is super amazing. I love this record. Crime Pays, Flat Tummy Tea, Situations. Oh, I'm not gonna. Yeah, this is great. This is fucking cool. I'll just leave it at that. I love that artwork too. My local store had an original copy of this, which I was really happy about. Absolute classic that I've been wanting for years. Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. Amazing. This one I enjoy, but I don't think it's as amazing as it could be. There's some really interesting, like the drum beats sound really like dry, and I don't know how to describe it. It almost sounds like a throwback to late 90s hip hop, I guess, in a way. I was a little disappointed, but I was drawn in by the artwork, obviously. Yeah, super fantastic stuff. I just said super fantastic stuff, but I just said it was disappointing. God, you can tell I'm on autopilot. It's good. No, it's good. It's worth a listen, I guess. But yeah, MF Doom, Sarface. This is the other one that I should have got when it came out because I loved it and I completely forgot about it. This is Pinata. This is one that I really got me into this guy because of the track High, which I think has Danny Brown on it. I could be wrong. Yeah, it does. Which is a really amazing track. I remember Champ Sound Andrew showing this a very, very long time ago back in the day, and after that I checked out High and I really liked it, and I liked this album, but I never really went further into his stuff. This one I couldn't leave behind. It's the new release from Shabazz Palaces, The Dawn of Diamond Dreams. This is really cool. A lot of people aren't really giving it a lot of love, or I've seen people saying it's not that great. I have to admit I'm pretty out of the loop with the last few releases, even though I know that they're really well regarded. But to my ears, this is really interesting. He really sort of sounds like everything just becomes. It starts off kind of structured and hip hop, and everything starts to sort of like blow out and space out and become really towards the end there, everything just sort of almost melts away and fades out. And it just sounds like someone getting really stoned towards the end is the best way to put it. Some really wonderful textures and deep bass on here though. I think it's really cool. The Dawn of Diamond Dreams by Shabazz Palaces. Okay, so I bought this about 2 years ago, and I didn't realize that there was a second part. So to rectify it, I picked up Derek Harriott, Reggae, Funk and Soul. So this is obviously the sequel, or the part 2 to that. Super great. As good as the first one. it says it is what it is. You know, it says what it is on the tin. What's the saying? Yeah, really great. What was I going to say? I can't remember. So we'll just move on. Someone else I am critically reevaluating is Bob Marley and the Wailers. I've been listening to a lot of Bob Marley and the Wailers, especially at the end of summertime. So I've decided that I want to get some more because I've overlooked a lot of stuff. Something I should have had a long time ago is this one, Get Up, Stand Up, I Shot the Sheriff, Burning and Looting, Small Axe, Pass It On, Duppy Conqueror. Man, this is fantastic. You all know this, I won't talk about it for too long. And I picked up the live one because it's one of the greatest. I was actually watching a documentary, or was I listening to a podcast called Bass Culture, and it sort of tracks the history of reggae in the UK, and they talk about the importance of the show, and I think a few important people were there, and you know, I thought I would check it out. And yeah, the playing in this, the sound, the way the backing band come in, the groove, the atmosphere, you know, there's a real energy to this recording. For me, I skip No Woman No Cry because I could never want to hear that again. I absolutely am sick to death of it. But apart from that, there's some amazing takes. Trenchtown Rock, especially, just the opener. Yeah, Lively Up Yourself, fantastic. I don't need to sell you guys on Bob Marley, do I? Okay, the last two, I've forgotten more. I had some more VCLT from Dave. Record Bug. He did send me this Scientist dub landing, which is really cool. I don't have any Scientist records. I know this is a slightly later one, but it sounds absolutely huge. I really like it. Amazing. I really want to get Scientist Wins the World Cup. And this thing here, which is a really special piece. This is African Rubber Dub. These are dubs of, I guess, more well-known reggae tunes. I recognize two of them. From memory, one's the Jackie Matu track that it's been redubbed, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. But yeah, this is really cool to get this proper Jamaican pressing of it. So thank you, Dave. You know I love what you send me. But yeah, there we go. God, 27 minutes of talking with no practice. That was a mouthful. Thank you all for watching. Again, sorry I sort of rushed through these and I was really aware that I was speaking very quickly. Now I've got to sort of clean up the mess. There's a big pile of records all around me on the floor here. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be back when I'm back.